People keep recommending the Worthless319. I think I've seen it, but I don't really know. I'll look it up. Didn't we see this? I really feel like we have. So chat seems divided on whether or not we've watched this. It sounds really familiar to me, and this time frame seems about right. Definitely haven't seen this one, but I think we've seen this.
It's very graphic, and it could potentially haunt you for life.
Is it a toss problem on Twitch, or does he not show anything? Also, this immediately doesn't look familiar, so I don't know if we've seen it.
Some of you might already be familiar with this user since this topic is more or less 3 years old. Most of his posts were made on the subreddit Awakened. His first ever post talks about North Korea and the USA. He will infrequently talk about political topics, but the main focus of his posts will become apparent in the second post he made. This post deals with his self-mutilation. He also elaborates that he almost passed away due to its severity. In the replies, he has a few interactions with people about spirituality.
These are the bits, cryo.
He's afraid of suffering, and people tell him to take it slow and to not read too much into it, but he seems to be unable to do so. And suffering seems to be the main topic that he's concerned about. In his third post, he again talks about the same stuff, but it gets very dark in the replies.
Sounds like the dude from that,
is
like Da Vinci Code that keeps hitting himself with
penis and both
like
testicles,
stick,
but roughly 1 inch
like
of the base remains.
flail or whatever.
My intuition, God, higher self, primal instinct, etc. tells me to remove it. The first time I used a gun, now I must use a knife, and it is going to be exceedingly difficult and painful compared to a few trigger pulls. After getting the advice to consult,
he removed his penis with a gun. I mean, that sounds like a lie. That wouldn't even work. That's like that carnival game where you shoot out a star with the BBs. You'd have to do like a full fucking line. Well, I guess you could be using a higher caliber bullet to be actually. I didn't even think of that.
In this post, he goes to length explaining how he circumcised himself, shot his own dick 4 times with a revolver, and then fried and ate it. He also lost his left testicle in the process.
That was a thing on Cannibal Cafe.
Ended up at the hospital. In a different reply, he explains that he sawed his own penis and then ate it. His friend ate his left testicle. He also states that he needed to peel off his left testicle before cooking it. And someone was curious as to how it tasted, and he claims that it tastes like chicken, and that he cut it in half since he almost vomited trying to eat the whole thing. He
this seems
that
very
he's only
fake.
Following God's will, and that he's afraid of the pain that he will experience when he decides to cut off the remaining part. When receiving questions as to how he endures the pain of shooting his dick so often, he just explains that it's unbearable, but he needs to continue. He also is willing to send the images of his doings to people who are doubting him. Against all doubts, OP delivered.
Okay, does he actually, in this video, let me see. Let me make sure he doesn't actually show the pictures if there are any. Before continuing though, I will say, having pictures doesn't necessarily confirm that. You guys remember the BME Pain Olympics where there's the video of the dude cutting his cock off? It's fake. You can fake those things. You can easily, well, easily might not be the right word depending on how the pictures look, but yeah, you can absolutely fake it. Again, I guess they could be real. It sounds unbelievable, but I guess it is possible. I'm just saying, like with the BME Pain Olympics where everyone's like, can you believe this guy cut his own cock off on camera? That was fake. That is a confirmed fake video. So I'm sure you could also fake pictures too. Okay, it doesn't look like he shows anything. The way he's talking about it seems like he's fishing for attention. That's the impression I get.
I truly do, even if it comes at the cost of myself. But know what goes around comes around. What followed was something that probably no one
It wasn't fake? Again, how do people not know this? This was a big deal. The creator of the BME Pain Olympics even came forward saying, yes, that shock video, all of that was fake. Now, it's not everything that the creator has posted being fake, but that video in particular is fake. Because the person behind it, Shannon Larrett, is Devin Larrett's brother. He passed away now, but before then, he did publicly state that it was a fake video. Is it so unbelievable the Reddit dude actually did it? I think so, and especially the way he talks about it, but again, it could be. I'm just saying, just because there's pictures doesn't necessarily mean it's real. I know Wang talked about it in his video, but there was a whole interview with him where he just said like, yeah, that was fake. Made to be a viral shock video. capitalizing on that trend back then. Is it in his Wikipedia, I wonder? Oh, here we go. Here it is. Here's the article. Yeah, so it is in this interview. It goes over Shannon. I probably can't even show this website. The man responsible for the creation of this site was Shannon Larrett. Shannon was himself one of the first people in the West to have his tongue split and among the first 3 people to ever receive an eyeball tattoo. Shannon's BME website would gain further notoriety after he created a fake but very convincing shock video titled BME Pain Olympics Final Round. I can probably show this part actually. It's just him getting his eyeball tattooed. Yeah, so this was an interview with him and it goes over like the history and why he created it. I actually didn't know this part. This video originally concluded with a disclaimer noting that the footage was not genuine. However, shortly after being passed around the internet, the disclaimer was removed, leaving many viewers to believe that they were actually watching self-performed castrations and penectomies. Yeah, so that, like I said, that video was fake. This has been proven fake. The Worthless319? Alright, hold on. Nah, I'm deep in it now. Where? Like I said, just because there are pictures doesn't mean the pictures are genuine there. And the way he talks about it is literal Reddit, like, attention seeking. It didn't seem genuine even from the get-go. Where was it debunked? Because I don't even see anything on it. I just see people discussing it. Where was it proven to be fake? There's a whole Reddit about it being debunked. Fuck, okay, I'll have to go to that after, then I don't feel like going that far out of the way now. I'll finish at least getting the lore here.
In this one, he states that he already cut off 90% of his genital and that God requires him to cut off the remaining 10%. He also is unsure whether this even would be enough since a portion of his dick is inside of him, so he would need to carve a hole into his body to fully complete his task. In further postings, he gives us a more graspable reasoning behind his intentions. He has the conception that he was chosen by God and that he needs to mutilate himself in order to avoid a potential conflict with North Korea. He basically sees himself as a prophet, receiving direct orders
Who's to say he wasn't?
To say, here's a more
God did some fucked up
him,
shit to the people that like followed him back in the day.
It reads, "If I don't do this, it's Armageddon time. End of the world. End of humanity as a cosmic player in the universe. Think of Donald Trump, North Korea, the increase in current natural phenomena, hurricanes which shape a spiral galaxy, etc.
Good luck.
The mushroom is a symbol of power. Psychedelics, the penis, mushroom clouds from nukes. It's one mushroom to avoid the rest. If I make it through this final step, my soul will descend into hell to be purified, and the earth will be renewed through my suffering. It's extremely unpleasant, and a daily question why God chose me. I'm the most average person I can think of."
Oh, he's the hero.
He also states that he had visits at insane asylums 5 times. When he received concerns from users whether he plans on harming others, he replied with, "No, just myself. The opposite of others. I did this for others." In addition to this, we get a lot of personal information about Worthless319. I'm the most average person I can think of, but I've always had a lot of love.
Aww.
For the past year, I've been jobless living at home with my family, after I shot my penis off and ate it. Before that, it was university, playing music, working out, and a decent amount of LSD over 2 years. God's drug. Even though his relationship to God seems to be mostly negative, he also talks about the positives. I'm in agony and suicidal depression most days, but no matter the pain, it's always been relieving to try and trust in God and the universe.
Why would you fake
also
attention just like this?
He calls his doings urges, which are uncontrollable. His inner self is constantly telling him to sacrifice parts of himself, and he is unable to resist. I wish I could just end myself or something instead of bleeding out of my genitals. Thanks for the love though. It doesn't help much in these circumstances. Maybe it will help anyway.
People this insane don't type this coherently. It reads like someone trying their best to play the role of like a crazy genital mutilating person.
For advice. He details
it reads very
the
fake.
Castration video of his left testicle on the internet.
There still is a chance it's not though.
I think I know where the video was and currently may be, but I'm obviously not going to share it here. It's on a rather well-known website and can be accessed through the ClearNet. That's all I'm going to say here. It's mostly just people sharing their concern and trying to convince him to not continue. Well, Worthless319 always ignored these concerns,
Damn.
without any exception.
We tried.
Now, before we proceed, you may be curious as to how he even releases himself. He shares his experiences
Out his butt.
in a reply. It reads,
Redirected
I'm
it.
sitting down. If you're talking about orgasmic, since I finished castrating myself, I haven't gotten turned on once. Before castration, I had one nut. I blew apart my left one. I could come very easily by thought alone. In other posts, he shares his state of mind. The sensation of feeling helpless and not knowing how to continue. Here's an example. I especially fear the end of humanity as it approaches. It's inches away. Centimeters.
Goddamn 5G.
No one understands me, especially myself. I don't know who I am any longer. I'm so close to the point of complete surrender that it appears infinitely far away and I keep grasping. I've gone insane. After this, we get to the spiciest part of his entire post history. His post on morbid questions. It has obviously been deleted, but we can take a look at the content of his post by looking it up on Remove Edit. The post reads, how much would it hurt to have your dick cut off? I asked because I shot it 4 times with a revolver, cooked it, and ate it afterwards. I called an ambulance after about 5 minutes of listening to music laying on the ground.
Yeah, this definitely is
I don't remember
fake.
much of the pain due to the ambulance ride and anesthesia. I presume a knife slicing through it would hurt more than bullets. What do you think? He also attached an image, and yeah, it is his penis, at least what remains of it. This post in particular went pretty viral. A lot of people were commenting and replying to this post, and I want to go through a few.
There's a website that shows his deleted Reddit history, not Remove Edit. Yeah, it doesn't prove that those pictures are either A, real, or B, him. There are people, and I do know this is a thing, I think it's called a penectomy, I think. There are people that have actually cut their cock off online, and there's videos of it. But I don't think this guy was one of them, because he just keeps making Reddit posts like he's an anime villain or something going into a monologue. I don't think this is, like, real. But the actual act of someone cutting their own cock off and shit, that is something that some absolute maniacs have done. Pan Olympics is not one of them. That was fake. I just pulled up the article with the Shannon Larrett interview.
Here the user says, damn, I was just about to ask for pics or it didn't happen, but Jesus Christ. Worthless, why did you cap your penis? Others were too afraid to click on the image, but there were quite a few people that were confirming that the image was indeed the real deal. There was one more reply from Worthless sharing 3 pictures in total upon request. Worthless definitely was not reluctant to share proof of his sacrifices. He would also ask for advice in the BDSM or transgender subreddit, but didn't have any success. He actually would make numerous posts asking for advice as to how he can endure the pain of cutting his penis. In other posts, he receives the advice to look for help multiple times, but it's obvious that Worthless couldn't care less. His last ever post depicts his dog. We never heard from him ever since.
Ooh, how deep does it go?
First, he blew his left testicle and 8 months later he castrated his right nut. He also states that he was a part of the US Naval Academy in 2012 and that he dropped out. He also shared an image through DMs with the user, and this illustration depicts God in his eyes. He posted a few pictures of his dog. It's not entirely known what happened to his dog after Worthless became inactive on Reddit. Whether Worthless passed away or not is also not confirmed. He talked quite a bit about passing away in threats in order to serve God, so it's definitely possible that he took his life. He wanted to end himself by bleeding out of his pelvic area to prevent a conflict between North Korea and the States.
It might have worked too. We still haven't entered into a conflict.
Like DMT and LSD. He even had a very bad trip while being on LSD. He seems very delusional in replies and threats, and people guessed that he most likely was intoxicated in most circumstances. There were people who were motivating Worthless to further self-mutilate himself in the name of religion. The users doing that deleted their accounts. So, as for information about Worthless,
Charlie, I saw the images. The dude has no dick. Like I said, on the internet, it's called a penectomy. There are people that have literally cut their own cocks off. There was even on this was a big one, the Cannibal Cafe. Cannibal Cafe, what was his name? Armin Minsk, something like that. The user on Cannibal Cafe said, hey, I want my cock cut off and I want to eat it. Oh, there we go. Armin Muse. On Cannibal Cafe, back in the early 2000s, there was a dude who's like, I want my cock to be cut off and then eaten. Will anyone oblige? Someone did, got together, literally cut his dick off, they ate it, he bled out in the bathtub. Like, there are people, and there are real videos and images of people cutting off and mutilating their own cocks. No doubt that exists. What I'm saying is this Reddit user is most likely not the one that is doing what's described or shown in those images. It's very likely he just took some of those stills from the videos or those pictures and is then making this story around this whole thing for attention. Because the way he writes is very much like a Redditor seeking attention. Just going by the way he writes. Again, could be totally wrong. It could genuinely be him. I'm just saying all of this seems super fake. He's making posts in other subreddits like, hey, how do I do this? I actually shot my nut off, which is why I'm asking, because I'm trying to save the America from North Korea using LSD, parentheses, God's drug. Again, I shot my nut off and then I castrated myself. I've been bleeding and it's painful, but I'm doing it for you guys. By the way, how do I do this? Like, it seems like he's fishing for attention at every possible step with his post. That's what it seems like.
we know the following.
Thanks to
He is
resub
from a
Bap
small,
Adventure and the
medium-sized
5
town
gift
in
subs
Southeast
blind.
Florida, and he is
Thanks, blind.
23 and Caucasian. We also know that 6 to 7 months ago, around September 2017, he was admitted to the hospital for the first sacrifice, where he was institutionalized. And roughly 5
You are
months
more
from
accepting
there,
of the
he
secret
started
space
spending
program's
his life in the
legitimacy.
woods, where he cannot back off and fight for
True.
help. We have no certainty whether he really passed away, since there are no news articles from Florida talking about this. You could argue that it's too sensitive to receive media coverage, but that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, it would. It
It's
would
not the
absolutely
first
receive
time
coverage.
that something like that would get reported in Florida.
He's going to bring up
Here,
Cannibal
for
Cafe.
instance, we have a similar case,
Or not.
which received media coverage. Also, there's no certainty whether the pictures he shared are really from him.
Right.
They could have been cropped, so they aren't really reverse image searchable. He could have confirmed that the images indeed were from him if he showed a piece of paper with a date or his username on the image, but he never delivered, even when people were demanding it. Even if the pictures were real and from him, we don't really know if he truly mutilated himself.
Yep.
It could be some sort of malformation from birth, or a disease he had, or something similar. But besides these
Thanks
points,
again, Blind. Thanks for
there is
another
really
5.
nothing that would really hint to this being fake.
Thank you.
It's fairly similar to the user Snapfingers, which
Are
also
police
had a
reports
very
in
authentic
Florida
post
public?
history.
They are.
But in direct comparison, the post history from Worthless319 is much more authentic. You truly need to be fucked up in your head to stick to this for months, making threats and posts and also sharing grotesque images. In
These
the
are some
end, we can
juke.
only hope that Worthless is alive
Did
and
they
found
Grievous?
help, but in all honesty, I highly doubt that's the case. See you guys next time. Goodbye.
That was interesting. Again, I think that whole story is fake. Pictures, probably not, but the story, at least surrounding them with that user, I think definitely are. And luckily, it looks like we have a penis scientist in here. I've seen the pictures. They 100% weren't from him. He claimed to have shot his penis, but most of the pictures were shaved. A burn there would have simply prevented hair growth, at least in some spots. And there's also no wound in the area in any of the pics, just the absent penis. Yeah, I haven't seen the pictures, so I can't really analyze them myself. But I have been playing a lot of LA Noire, so if I do see them, I'll probably be able to get some clues. But I'm not going to do it on stream. Give me 1 second. I'm going to take a piss and then send a text message.